We're going to talk about Andrew Luck. We're going to talk about other CFL issues. But I welcome to the program today a guy that is no stranger to the bunker. Wes Cates with us, the Riders' second all-time leading rusher, and veteran Rough Riders defensive back Chris McKenzie makes his Rod Pedersen Show debut. C-Mac, how are you doing?
Pretty good. Pretty good.
And you, Wes?
I'm great, although you just reminded me I'm wearing the same shirt I had on last time I was on the show. But
starting to wonder if you only have one shirt.
I think
man,
so.
You got a baller on a budget. You got to
Baller on a budget.
Got to be frugal.
Now, you guys came in near the end of hour one. You sat over there on the sponsors couch and you were kind of yucking it up over there with what we were talking about and everything. You guys were pro athletes for a long time and NCAA high-level athletes. So the topic of performance-enhancing drugs is not uncommon to you guys. I'm going to start with you, Chris, because you're new to the show.
Yep.
So when this news came down yesterday with Andrew Harris, what was your first reaction and what's your reaction a day later?
Well, what came to my mind was, I guess, if you're not trying to win, if you're not cheating, you're not trying to win, But that was kind of like a joke thing. And, it's tough because you have a lot of people out there, a lot of athletes that don't take anything and they bust their butts to basically perform the way they can, and then you have somebody do this. To me, I really don't care. It's on him. But in some other athletes' eyes, it's definitely kind of slap in the face.
The guys that did it the right way.
Exactly. So, that's on him. It's sad to see that he'll be gone for 2 games because I think these 2 games are big, and the team will probably definitely miss him.
Wes, your thoughts?
You know what? It's kind of funny to me. I guess sometimes as an athlete, you're trying to find out what's the next new thing to take that's going to help you get a better workout or, get more out of your workout. So sometimes there is a situation where, maybe you're asking a specialist, what should I be taking right now? And they're like, oh, this is good. This doesn't have anything that's in it that's banned. Then all of a sudden that's something in that substance gets banned later on down the line and you don't know or they don't know. And then you end up still taking this thing and get tested and you get in trouble. So I'm wondering if that might be the factor, but at the end of the day, I've always kind of wondered because he seemed like a guy who, for his age, has had a lot of energy throughout the course of the game. And athletes know the guys that play with that much energy, so there's a few guys that are just like that, but then you got to kind of wonder, is he taking something to give him a little more pep in his steps? So that was kind of one funny thing. That was one of my first thoughts. But at the end of the day, you take those chances when you try to take these enhancement substances, whether you knowingly are taking something illegal or not. But at the same time, you're trying to be the best you can be. So if you're ready to suffer the consequences, hey, great for the Riders that it's going to happen right now. And I hate to think that he truly didn't do it knowingly, but hey, that's part of the risk you take in trying to mix in these things to help you get better.
That's why I got to take my hat off to the CFL in suspending Andrew Harris, because he's a marquee player, poster boy of the league. They don't want to have him miss 2 games. They don't want to have him look bad, but they're serious about this, obviously. And secondly, when the Winnipeg media comes on here and former Andrew Harris teammates and they say, we know him, he wouldn't do this. It reminds me of all those Dateline episodes that I see when they got the murderer there and they interview his brothers and sisters and they're like, oh, we know Wes, he'd never kill anybody. And the cops are like, yeah, we hear it all the time.
Right.
And this is sort of a similar thing. So I feel bad for Andrew Harris, but I just don't necessarily think that I believe him. So furthermore, as a couple of Rider alum here, and Chris confirmed with me, the only team in the CFL he suited up for was Saskatchewan. Wes started in Calgary and then came and saw the light and came here. But C-Mac, as a Rider alumni, you're following it very closely. Can you talk about this first half of the Riders at 6-3 and how it seems to be lining up pretty good here for the next foreseeable future?
You know what? Man, I'm excited for them. They're doing pretty good. At first, starting off, I guess they had to get their bearings underneath them, and I think they're rolling right now. It's exciting to see that defense, that offense. Special teams, I mean, to me, they're some games they're hitting on all cylinders, and it's good to see. Plus, I have a close friend that I played college ball with. He's the DC defense coordinator, so I always love to see him do good.
For Shives.
Yeah, you bet.
Which you knew he'd be good. I mean, I've spent a lot of time talking to Shives. He knows the game, and I don't know why anybody would think that he wasn't ready, because if you know him, he was ready.
Oh, yeah. He's been ready for that position for a while. You could always learn, but Shives does know what he's talking about, and he knows the game, like you said. And it's just exciting to see, for me, him come from how far he came from and where he's at now. I'm very happy for him.
How about you, Wes?
I guess kind of to piggyback off of the Jason Shivers thing, yeah, I actually spent a week in camp with the Riders and spent some time talking to Jay Shive, and I was surprised to learn how many coaching camps he had gone to and how many books he had read, just kind of prepping himself for this opportunity. So definitely he's been a bright spot. I think everybody thought with Chris Jones being gone, what's going to happen? There was a lot of uncertainties with the Riders, but, it only took a few weeks, and now you see a defense that is playing just as well or better than they did last season. So, obviously, Jason Shivers has taken, some of the tools he's learned from Jones and added to that, and it's kind of making it his own. And then you got Dickey and the offense, even McAdoo. Everybody was talking bad about McAdoo, this time last year, and now he has a quarterback that's a playmaker and can read a defense, and all of a sudden this offense is looking pretty good, right? They haven't been great every game, but they're taking the steps and putting points on the board, and the defense has been getting giving them a short field, and they've been taking advantage of that and putting it in the end zone. So I think right now as a whole team, the Riders are really looking good rolling into Labor Day Classic.
Couple of Rider alum with us in the bunker this morning, Wes Cates and Chris McKenzie. I got a lot of things for you guys, and clearly so do our viewers as well, and producer Clark, who says a lot of people have compared William Powell, the Riders running back, who I refer to as Colonel Powell. If you don't know who that is, Google it. You Americans would know Colonel Powell. Do you see the similarities between yourself and William Powell? Because everybody compared you to George Reed, which, what a tremendous honor that is. Do you see any similarities between yourself and Colonel Powell?
Willie P, I like the way Willie P plays. He's a little bit smaller than me. I think I was more of when I'm in traffic, maybe try to give a guy a shoulder, run him over. I think Willie P's more of a kind of step out of the bucket kind of runner. Like he's going to put a move on you and then try to remove himself from where you're, you know what I mean? Try to take his body out of your tackling zone. So I think that's the only difference as far as blocking. I think he's pretty stout back there and does a great job. And then it seems like he can catch out of the backfield well as well. So I think, and we're both patient runners too, for the most, so I think there are the similarities, but to be honest, when I look at him, I'm not like, he looks like me out there running. But I think as far as a complete package, I like to think
we had a complete package. We had a whole era named after you. The Wes Cates era.
Yeah, a lot of good winning happening then.
A lot of winning went on.
Was it all me? Of course not. But I like to think I had a good hand in it.
I love it. Which reminds me, by the way, before we went to air, I talked to Chris McKenzie about his signing a one-day contract to retire as a Saskatchewan Rough Rider and how he should be honored because not everybody gets that honor, and you are honored. Yes. But the hilarious thing was if the cameras had been rolling, Wes is like, what's the big deal? I never retired. I haven't retired. So I might let you guys take that over. But, Chris, why was it a big deal for you? What did it do for your life, I guess, your profile? And then I'll ask you, Wes, why you have not filed retirement papers yet in the CFL.
For me, it was an honor because the team gave me an opportunity first to come up here and continue playing football because I came from Houston and I was just sitting around not playing for no teams. I did a couple workouts and, they gave me opportunity. So when I was done, I wanted it to be known and I wanted to – that was my only team up here and the last team. I just wanted to be basically, show them that respect also with them showing me the same. and retiring as a rider. And just shutting down my career, basically.
I thought it was nice. And here's the funny thing. Neil writes in and says, Neil Gordon Ewan, he says, big fan of these two. Derek was our best DB for a couple seasons, and Wes could get her done. Who do you think this is? It's Chris McKenzie. Who's Derek? Who does he think he's talking to?
I'm not sure.
Please tell us who you think this is.
Yeah.
Because it's Chris McKenzie that's joining us here.
Did we even have a Derek?
I don't think we had it, Derek. Does he think this is Derek Moncrief?
Yeah, I don't know what the heck. Yeah.
That's hilarious. Furthermore, you got married either during your time with us or just after, correct?
Just after.
Just is your wife a local girl?
Yeah.
She's from here.
She's definitely from here.
And then the other thing was you went and worked in the oil field. And who owned that company that you worked for? Who was your boss?
Who's my boss or who do I work
Are you still there?
I'm still there. Me and I don't know if everybody remember Big Joe.
Big Joe?
Lobadan.
That's what Joe's doing now?
Yeah, Joe is he works in our Calgary office, and I'm here in Regina office.
Yeah, but you weren't in the office when you started.
No, I was out in the field.
And here's the thing. Whoever your boss was, he's like, that Chris McKenzie, man, he's a worker. And I said, well, tell me about it. He goes, well, he said that you were dealing with dangerous gases and you could have died any day. And you were out there in minus 47. I'm like, well, that's the Chris McKenzie I know. Yeah. But he said that you were willing to do the work, man. That couldn't have been real easy.
No, definitely not. I had a couple years in Arizona that made my body comfortable with heat, and then I come up here and work in minus 40 below. It's pretty tough, but I'm from New York City, so it's cold there. Not as cold as here, but it wasn't no big. And I'm all about getting stuff done, so I got to do what I got to do to get it done. And right now I'm sitting in a pretty good seat with the same company. So
Clark wants to know, our producer, was it Chris that kept his oil patch working gloves in his locker for motivation? Was that you?
Oh, no.
Who did that?
I don't even know.
Who do you people think this is? That's with us this morning in the bunker. That's funny. Well, I know who it is. A hard worker and a rider. Great. Now, Wes, so further, I wish people could have seen that. You're like, why was that a big deal for you to retire? I never retired. Talk about that. That was funny.
I guess to officially retire, it makes you eligible for things like the Plaza of Honor, but I'm in it anyway. But the whole way things kind of ended with me and the riders wasn't the best. Corey Chamberlain, who I'm not a big fan of, like the whole way we talked about maybe bringing me back, and then they sent J.O. in to release me. You know what I mean? I had a big meeting with J.O. He released me. So when he actually called me and asked me if I wanted to retire, I didn't necessarily even know if I was done playing at the time. I knew I was done, but like teams were still kind of, pot shot calling me if guys got hurt and that sort of thing, and I was kind of turning it down. So that was the reason why I didn't retire at the time. And the fact that I still got into the Plaza or was eligible or they voted me in, to me makes it seem like it wasn't a big deal. It's cool to do the whole ceremony and everything and officially retire, but it's like I'm done. I'm not out there anymore. People know I'm retired. Like, I don't know. But it's cool to show respect and everything, but I guess it didn't, at the time, it just, the part wasn't that smooth. It wasn't bad, but it wasn't that smooth either.
It's rarely smooth for anybody. But I will say this, having spent the weekend in Moncton at Touchdown Atlantic with a ton of alumni, and it was fantastic. What bothers me is, because I spent so much time around you guys in my life, people act like when you're done playing, you're dead. It's that whole, didn't you used to be Wes Cates? It's like, I still am. And the Alumni Association loves this show because of the guys that we're bringing on, like yourself. Mm-hmm. And you're all doing great. You all look great. And so we got a great relationship going on with the Alumni Association. You've just been outstanding guests. So we do need to take a time out. Getting into it with Wes Cates and Chris McKenzie this morning. Arash Madani coming up from Rogers Sportsnet on the program. Not sure who else, but we'll take a time out and tell you more when we return.
You're watching Rod Pedersen On Demand. For more of The Rod Pedersen Show, visit rodpedersen.com or follow Rod Pedersen on social media.